Of course, as we continue to shine a spotlight on the class of 2025, we must also take a moment to reflect that, of course, the process wasn't without its challenges. In the lead up to the results announcement, Umalusi confirmed a localized leak of the national senior certificate papers in Pretoria. To be clear, it affected a small group of candidates, and it was a breach that nonetheless has sparked more of a debate around security, transparency, and confidence in the examination process. So even as we celebrate, perhaps we also need to cross some T's and dot some I's in that regard. And so we are joined now by Dr. Mafu Rakometsi, who is the CEO of Umalusi, joining us now on the line. Thank you so much for your time, and good morning.
Good morning, Bongani, and good morning to your listeners.
All right, let's start with the good news first, hey? Let's start with the class of 2025. I mean, 88%, it really is quite an extraordinary achievement, the best we've done so far.
It is indeed an extraordinary achievement, and historically we come from below 40%, below 50% to be precise, as a country when it comes to the Matric results. And the educators have been working very hard. The department has been working very hard to turn the situation around. And what they have achieved is indeed commendable.
What patterns, I mean, because what is a clear story is there's been a steady improvement year after year after year. What patterns are you seeing in terms of particularly this performance of the class of 2025?
My observation is that the focus has been on the gateway subjects, and also the focus has been on improving the bachelor passes that allow students to proceed into universities. And that is hard work, because whilst it is true that we've got 88%, we don't only have to look at quantity, we have to look at the quality of the results, where you look at the learners who enroll for the gateway subjects, your sciences and your commercial subjects, and also students who are able to proceed to universities with a bachelor pass.
Isn't there concern, though, that even as you talk about trends as far as the gateway subjects, there have been some concerns about particularly mathematics and the number of learners who are writing mathematics as a subject as opposed to, say, for example, maths literacy?
Whilst it is true that we want to encourage the majority of our learners to do mathematics, it is also true that mathematical literacy also has got its value in society. It has got its value, otherwise we would not be offering the subject, would not be quality assuring it if it was valueless. So all I'm saying is that it is very important that we register the majority of the learners in mathematics, and we have to do advocacy in that regard. But that should not suggest that mathematical literacy is a useless subject.
No, not at all. I'm not suggesting that at all. But what I'm saying, though, is there's been a concern around, as you say, the goal ultimately would be to have more learners going the mathematics, the pure maths route, and that is not to underplay the value of maths literacy. And there's been a concern that perhaps we're not quite in the right direction as far as that is concerned.
Indeed, you're spot on. We have to work hard. Hence, I'm talking about advocacy, encouraging students to do pure mathematics, and also availing enough resources for the learners to do mathematics, because you have to train enough teachers to teach pure mathematics. It can't just be our wish that we have that. We have to actually put systems in place that will attain that goal.
Strategies in place to make sure it happens rather than just wish for it. Just explain to us where Umalusi comes in, because obviously we tend to think about you almost really at the end of the process. What role do you play in supporting educators and learners in the lead up to matric exams, and how do you contribute to how the system operates?
We don't support learners, we don't support educators, because we are not providers of education. We do oversight, we do quality assurance, we're outside the system. Our role is almost similar to that of the Auditor General, where we come in and check whether the systems have been applied according to policy. What we do is that the question papers that are written are set by the different assessment bodies, internally moderated by them. Then they bring them to us for external moderation for Umalusi to check whether the papers have been set according to the curriculum assessment and policy statement. Once we approve those papers, then, only then, can they be written. And during the writing process, we monitor the system. We check that there is adherence to policy in terms of the distribution of question papers, the storage of question papers, the writing environment where the learners are writing the examinations, the invigilators that are appointed. We monitor the system every step of the way, including the verification of marking and also ensuring that only qualified markers are appointed. So our role is that of oversight.
Yeah. I mean, we can quibble with it. I appreciate what you're saying. I mean, I think in some sense you do offer a supportive role because ultimately it is your say-so that makes sure all of these things can go ahead. Let's turn now to this issue of that leak, particularly in Pretoria. As I said in my introduction, it was a localized leak. I don't want to paint the picture of something that was perhaps more broad than it was. It was a localized incident. It affected only a small number of candidates, but nonetheless, it is something to be concerned about.
It is something that is concerning. It is a very, very unfortunate incident that has dented and tainted the image of our processes. That an official employed in the department, entrusted with such huge responsibilities, finds it fitting to leak the paper is something that is worrisome, is something that we have to actually correct in the system.
I mean, could this have been prevented? How did it happen? Maybe let's start there. Bring our listeners up to speed in terms of how it happened, and could it have been prevented?
How this happened is that an official working in exams, from the look of things, was approached by an official working in the department, but in HR. The official in HR has a child in Matric, and this one in exams was approached to avail certain papers, mathematics, physical sciences, and English home language. That's how the breach happened. And it is something that we are frowning upon because this could have been prevented. One, first of all, everybody who works in exams has to be vetted. Two, the examination area is not an area that is accessible to everybody. And the people who work in exams have to be monitored every step of the way to check the activity on their computers, whether there's been an unauthorized flash disk that comes into their computer, so that has to be explained to say why at a particular day, on a particular day, at a particular time, was there a flash disk that was inserted in your computer, and so forth and so on. So that there was supposed to have been systems put in place to prevent this from happening.
And so ultimately, whose failure was it?
Well, it is the failure of the system in that we didn't vet the people, we did not monitor as we were supposed to have monitored the people who work in exams. It was a question of trust with this official having worked in the exam section for 17 years. And I'm on record as saying the system is as strong as the people who work in it. One person can undermine the whole system.
The system failed? The department failed? Umalusi failed? What do you mean the system?
The system, I don't mean Umalusi. Umalusi is not in the operations of where the papers are set.
Sure.
I'm saying the department failed in terms of the supervision of these people who work in exams.
So ultimately, what censure then will the people who are at the center of this saga face?
The people have to face disciplinary processes. I'm talking here about the officials of the department. An investigation is still continuing. Where there have been lapses, those people have to face the music. I'm aware that the two officials that I've referred to are on suspension as we speak. And indeed, the SAPS, South African Police Service, is also going to be involved because this is a criminal case. It's not only a question of labor relations, it is a criminal matter.
And the learners?
The learners are going to be subjected to a hearing The department still has to appoint presiding officers where they are going to present their case before a presiding officer, and a sanction of a report of either guilty or innocent is going to be
if found guilty, what happens?
If found guilty, they are going to be sanctioned not to write the examinations for a year, for 2 years, or for 3 years, depending on the gravity of their involvement.
Goodness me, it does paint a little bit of a dampener on an otherwise successful matriculation exam. Appreciate your time there, Dr. Mafu Rakometsi, who is the CEO of Umalusi, the quality assurer. They're the ultimate ones who give the thumbs up as far as the process of the Matric exam is concerned.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions,
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.